What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's 2-year anniversary on YouTube. Let me turn up the volume a little bit. Thank you for anybody who has joined me in the last few years, who's joining me on this stream. It's been pretty emotional the last couple of years, especially the last year. We all know what's been going on the last few months. It's been a pretty crazy thing, honestly. It's been hard for everyone, especially for me, living down in Miami right now. If you don't know, Miami is the hot spot for the coronavirus, so it's been a really interesting experience. But as I always do, please, before we begin, if you like this channel or if you've not seen this channel, please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy it. Hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and comment below on any video that you watch, including this one, as well as liking any video that you watch. So it's been 2 years to this day that I posted my first video, which was, of course, Mission Impossible Fallout. There was a time, I've talked about it roughly a year before or so, a couple years prior, where I had done a podcast and it kind of fell through. It was one of those things, unfortunately. And yeah, it was a big deal. It was something that I had to get through after that podcast fell through. And one day I was watching a movie called Mother, the Darren Aronofsky film, and yeah, thank you, Ashley. I appreciate that. But I was watching Mother, and we know how that movie is. It's crazy. And once I got out of my slump, I decided to do a YouTube channel. I don't like being on camera. I have my face. You know how we get when we get on YouTube, and yeah, I decided to do a YouTube channel on movie reviews because when it comes to reviewing movies, people don't like listening to you talk about movies. It's the honest truth. People kind of just don't like it, especially your friends. It's nothing against your friends. It's just the way they are. And I decided, hey, YouTube's a good place to do movie reviews. I like people like Jeremy Johns and Chris Stuckman and the Schmoes. I had seen people like Bam and the Greek Geek, and of course Movie Oracle. I had seen these channels, and this is how I started YouTube. I was like, hey, you know what? I can talk. I'm good somewhat at talking, and I know movies quite well. And so that's what I did. I decided Mission Impossible Fallout was a good point. I actually had started a podcast, which there are some things on the channel that thank you, Petra. Thank you for doing that. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name, but thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate that. But Movie Emporium was started as a podcast with a couple friends, people that I kind of hung out with at the movie theater. But I started doing reviews, and like I said, Mission Impossible Fallout was my first review, and I got really excited. I'm like, this is really cool, so I turned it into a full YouTube channel, as well as doing, work. So from there on out, I just kind of started reviewing movies. I didn't have much of a channel. I didn't have many subscribers, as people don't when they first start out. And here we are 2 years later, July 27th. I have a few hundred subscribers. Had one of my best months of the year of all time, with one video that's passing 8,000 views at this point. And yeah, it's really kind of emotional, really kind of exciting that I've stuck to it for 2 years. It hasn't been easy. There are times where I've wanted to quit. I did 2 video edits last night for this live stream that I was like, oh man, I don't want to do this. This is hard. This is rough. But I stuck with it, and it's been quite an experience. And I just want to give some shout outs. I've given shout outs to Bam and of course Greek Geek, of course Ashley, who I almost got to the Hall of Fame, which I still regret. And then the 84 year thing came up with Daniel Barrows. But I got to thank people like, Trivia Theater. I mispronounced that. I got to thank, of course, Dan Jensen. I've got to thank, Jared Buckendahl. What were you watching? Chris from Movies and Munchies, who's been a big supporter and is always kind of, if I ever need help or answer questions, yeah, be quiet, Ashley. No, but LC Screen Talk, pretty much anybody, Stephanie, who came on the Star Wars podcast, because I do a podcast called Trench Run, who came on and were very supportive and helped do the channel. there are people that I've talked to and still talk to who, when I'm down, when I feel sad, really do help. So, but yeah, the 2 years have been quite an experience. Wolfpack, yeah, thanks, man. I love doing it. I really do. It's a passion. Movies have always been a passion of mine, as people know, that I've constantly berated people with knowledge of movies and stuff like that. But it's been a year. It's been an experience. Really excited to see what the third year holds. Probably, hopefully, more subscribers, more viewers. It's been interesting. Like, when you look at YouTube, and most of the people who do YouTube or see YouTube comments, it can get a little rough. It can get a little heartbreaking. Sometimes there have been comments that we've gotten and people have gotten that just like, why do people do what they do? Why do people say what they say? But when the first year of Movie Emporium ended and I was going to my second year, I was really worried that I wasn't going to be able to do it anymore. And it's been an experience. The second year is always the hardest, I think, when it comes to doing any type of Movie Emporium stuff or any type of YouTube stuff, because when you get past the second year, especially in like a TV series or something like that, is always the roughest, because it's the litmus test, to me personally, of how something can gel, how you push yourself forward, how you expand upon what you do and how you do it. And I don't know, it's been really interesting. Like I said, when July of last year, when I did the 1 year and I posted my Simpsons video, and I'll post it, if you want to watch it, it's on there. It's my 1 year Simpsons movie review. I was like really excited, and then things started happening at work and stuff like that, and I started struggling, and I went through a lot of crap and a lot of heartache and heartbreak. And then we hit the COVID stuff, and I think that's why I keep doing stuff like this. It doesn't make me any money. I still have to work, and it's a thing that gives me kind of an outlet. If you have ever done a YouTube channel, ever subscribed to a YouTube channel, ever watch a YouTube channel, it's hard. It is. It's a lot of work. I think one video I spent like 15 hours on, just working on. I mean, Ashley, who's hopefully still in the chat, can testify, and Triv and all these people who work on that's what she shut up, Rob. Rob was actually one of the people that was on the podcast with me, if anybody's curious. But it's hard. Like, doing movie stuff anything is hard. I can't imagine doing I can't imagine doing stuff like Chris Stuckman and Jeremy Johns and all these people that have done it for 10 years and continue to do it. I mean, yeah, they're very successful people now, but can you imagine having to stick it out for 10 years, having to work? I mean, it's not easy. It really isn't. It feels like a second job, But I love movies. I really do. It's a passion. It always has been a passion of mine ever since I was little. I tell everybody about how I have a grandmother who was in the film industry as a film commissioner, and I have a cousin who works in the industry now, and it's interesting, the idea of somebody that works in some part of film, because they're very influential, and my family has always been influential on me, my dad, my mom, but my grandmother had that thing where she was able to give me some really kind of cool seeds planting in my brain about movies and stuff like that. And I've seen so many movies throughout my life, and I'll kind of like spoil a little bit, but Saving Private Ryan was the movie that truly made me feel for film, and therefore I love movies and stuff like that. And it makes me regret going 2 years or 10 years without doing a YouTube channel, which I should have done, because I think this is a perfect outlet for me. And when people watch it and people comment like Wolfpack and stuff like that really give me hope that they actually enjoy what I'm doing. It makes me feel happy. So but Wolfpack writes, YouTube can be crazy, and the good channels don't always get the views they deserve, but sometimes when you have a library of videos like you, it can get tons of subs and viewers. Well, I appreciate that. It's been a struggle. Like I said, I see some channels that, you know, get a lot of views, and some that don't, that really deserve it. And it's an interesting field. You know, I have respect for pretty much everybody that does YouTube. It's a hard thing to do, but Petro says, I never plan on being a YouTuber. No, no way could I do it. It's a interesting experience. It really is. It's a fun experience. It's a hard experience. It's an experience that if you feel that you can put in the effort and the time, if you can spend the money, not really spend the money, but if you have a voice, it's definitely worth it. J-Buck, don't lie. You don't wish me a congratulations. No, I'm kidding. J-Buck, Jerry Buckendahl, he's a good guy. You know, he does a lot of great material. Yeah, I met him through, like, Ashley. I met a lot of people through Ashley, so thank you, Ashley, for that as well. But, let's see, what does Rob say? Happy anniversary. Been going great. Keep it up. I've seen consistency and a key to a lot of channels that are successful. You definitely have the consistency. Rob is a movie creator, movie director. Definitely check out his stuff on his channel. He's I've known him since school, like film school stuff. So yeah, definitely check it out. I give Wolfpack, I give extra respect for reviewers that don't beg on Patreon. Kudos to you, and you can hold your head high. I don't necessarily have a problem with Patreon. I get what you're saying, you know, begging, but like I said, if you can find a way to make money through ads and, you know, Patreon, I think that's perfectly fine. I don't do Patreon just because I don't have any viewers, and I don't have a lot of subscribers, so it's not worth it for me to do it. But I understand where you're coming from. But I appreciate that. But I do love, you know, people that do Patreon. I think, you know, people that can make money off YouTube and enjoy what they do is awesome. So how dare you, sir? We need I'm sorry. And live stream. No, I'm kidding. Mission accomplished. Yeah. But yeah, YouTube, as we all know, it's a finicky person. I've seen some things on YouTube that I boggle my mind on how people get subscriptions and how people get views, but I respect what they do. I really do. Hold on a second. I got my cat scratching at the door. Don't you love it during a live stream when your animal just won't let you alone? It's good times. I mean, I appreciate my content. I try really hard to do what I do. So, but yeah, like I said, 2 years seems like not that long ago, but is a lifetime when it comes to channel making and stuff like that. I did too, honestly, Jared. I fell down that rabbit hole too. There are things that my friends have introduced me to on YouTube that have, I don't even want to begin to know how they find this stuff. And it's the same thing with like streamers and YouTubers and stuff like that. It's like, I don't imagine if I had ever started this YouTube channel and thanks, Wolf. I don't imagine if I had ever start this that I would meet these cool people that I've met. It's insane to think about, like, how many people have helped me in the times that I've needed with YouTube and stuff like that. I'm going to repeat myself a lot of times, so I apologize. But when you find people that you connect on YouTube, it's like finding a friend, and people really work hard. And that's why I'm so supportive of a lot of people on YouTube, because I know the heart and pain that the thing brings. But I don't know. I guess if I had to pick a video that was one of my favorites, I always say it's my first video, because it's always the one that put me in the kind of the line sight of trying to do this crazy project. It's a terrible video. If you go back and watch it, watch my first video. It's me standing in front of 2 poster frames. I filmed on my iPhone, and the audio is awful, and there's no lighting. I think I used one of my light thing over here, the lamp or whatever, to light my source. And says you need to start your own Spider-Man Elsa channel for those sweet subs. Sure, why not? Well, I don't know what kind of channel it would be, but it would be kind of interesting. Cat person on sub. That made me laugh, actually. That's really funny. Yeah, cats are annoying, as most people know. Thanks, Triv. Thank you for, always supporting me as well. Like I said, you and a few of the YouTubers have always been there to help me out. I just watched your match. Great effort. I'm assuming that's Ashley's thing, Patra. I'm guessing. I'm not sure. This is I just watched your match. Great effort. I know Triv was supposed to be on the channel of Ashley's movie thing. Actually, if anybody's watching that hasn't been on Ashley's movie trivia thing, definitely go on it because it's an experience. I've only told a couple people, but it's like been the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever been on. And it's not anything that Ashley did. It's just the fact that you have to go on there and you have to answer trivia without looking at anything, which is hard enough as it is. And there are times, I think I went against Casey, was the first person I went, Casey Cosley, I think it is. And she was so nice and so respectful, but I felt so nervous when I was going up against her because I didn't know how I would do. Roy was, I think, the second person that I went up against, and he was really competitive and really did a nice job, and I was really nervous. I was nervous like every time I did these things, and I can't imagine just having to go. It's nerve-wracking, but Ashley, I give you a lot of credit for doing what you do with this channel, and it's gotta be hard to come up with questions, I'm sure. I did win 4 or 5 games, but it's like oh man, that last one was hard, but 84 years, I'll never forget that one. But I mean, if you guys have any questions at all, I mean, feel free to throw them out there. I got a couple videos I'm gonna just throw up on the live stream. One's gonna be my new intro that I worked on in the last couple days or weeks or whatever. One's gonna be, it's like I don't know, 18 to 20 minutes long. If you're interested in watching it, it's my top 10 films of all time. Best moment ever. Shut up. No, I'm kidding. That 84 years thing was pretty funny. I'll still remember that to this day. But yeah, I did a top 10 video that's just gonna be on this live stream. As soon as the live stream's over, I'm not gonna show it again because it's a thank you to you guys for whoever stays on and watches it. And at the very end, I'm going to show off my video for Caddyshack, which is my new Flashback review video. That is going to premiere as soon as the video premieres on the channel. But yeah, let's see what we got. What is your favorite item that is in your backdrop collage? It is definitely, if I turn around, excuse me if I'm not pointing correctly, there is a Shawshank Redemption wooden piece back there that's sitting right above the Jumanji game board. There's only 12 of those things made. One was given to my grandmother, who was nice enough to give it to me because I'm a huge Shawshank Redemption fan. And she got it because she was able to get the film into Ohio. She was very integral to the reason that prison's still around as a historical landmark. So I put that in my background just as a reminder to me to how important she was as a figure for me growing up. So that is it. I also like Rob, you'll know who JP is. JP Perez is a artist who does some really cool artwork, and he has there's this picture back there of it's a young kid with his dog dressed as Han Solo and Chewbacca, and they're in a cardboard display with bed sheets of Star Wars, a basketball that says the Death Star on it, a little Yoda figure, and they're pointing like in the Millennium Falcon. And it's an incredible piece of artwork. It's my favorite piece of artwork, and I hang it up there proudly because he's such a good artist. So if you get a chance, check out his artwork. He's an amazing artist. So let's see. What else? Let me go back up. Can a 5 Oh God, I love Monty Python. Can a 5 ounce 5 ounce Oh god, I love that joke. That's one of my favorite jokes in movie history is the swallow and the coconuts and the 5 pounds things. If you haven't seen Monty Python, please watch that movie. I did a review of it, but please watch it. Oh my god, it's so funny. What are your channel goals or expectations for the next year since movie theaters are dead? I don't know. I'm gonna go do a memorial in front of a movie theater and may pray to the gods or something like that they ever open. My channel, I'm gonna keep doing what I do. Maybe at some point try to create new content. I have a tendency to stick with the same stuff over and over, and that's my issue. But I do look up to you guys because you're always creating different and unique content. I've seen like Ashley Peschel do green screen stuff, which is awesome. Sean, who is a big YouTuber now, I have a lot of respect for him because he does, he's brought himself up from, the grounds up and stuff like that. But, just continue what I'm doing. I don't have any huge goals, work and stuff like that is always keeping me busy as well. But I am in the process of writing a radio drama for my podcast of Trench Run, a Star Wars podcast. I don't know exactly how it's going to work out. If you guys ever get a chance, maybe one day I'll actually put the whole thing together. But in the early days of our podcast, I did a radio drama that's more of just me reading a script, and it's the most ridiculously awful thing you'll ever hear. But it runs through like a 9-week period or something like that. And it was about a bounty hunter that's trying to save his friend, and the ending is something I really enjoyed writing because it fits into A New Hope really nicely. But with that said, it's not very good. I have to put it all together. I have to find all the clips and put them all together because the one thing that people will know when writing screenplays or writing anything, because sometimes you'll just get the itch to write something if you're like me, or as you're aware, is you can to me personally, I can create an opening, an intro, an ending, but the rest of the 2/3 of the other story is a pain in the ass. I sat there and wrote week to week. We do every 2 weeks, so I was writing every other week. And I lost places of what I was trying to say and what I was trying to write. I was going to places that didn't make any sense, but I enjoyed it so much that I just went with it, and I feel like I did a good job for a first time effort. One of the things I want to get into that Rob was nice enough to send me was there's a thing called Nightmare Inc., which I don't want to explain what it is, but it's a thing I've had a long passion for that I completely forgot about, as you can tell. My passion for it really wasn't that great. So I'm looking into that as well, and we'll see what happens. I hope something happens out of it, but let's see. Yeah, Shawshank's it's what's interesting about Shawshank is it's a movie that I didn't expect people to find so passionately about, because it came out the year I think it was the year that Pulp Fiction and Forrest Gump were battling out for Best Picture, and people love Pulp Fiction a lot. So I figured that people would want that to win Best Picture, which they do. But there are so much love for Shawshank Redemption, and I love the movie to death. I have, like I said, a connection to it, but I don't know. It's weird to me. Like I said, I don't. It's weird of how films will do that to you. How movies like Empire Strikes Back and The Godfather and Mad Max Fury Road. I don't know how what you guys think of it, but Mad Max Fury Road. It's interesting what film does for people when it comes to filmmaking and whatnot. Shawshank Redemption, like I said, is an incredible film. It does so much with its characters, and like I said, if you stay and watch the video, you'll see what I talk about. But yeah, it's something. I'll give you. Yeah, it's definitely something. So, what's up, Jacob? How you doing, man? Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Like I said, it's been a crazy 2 years of doing YouTube. So, would you be quiet, Ashley? Would you be quiet? Seriously, 84 years. I said 85 years, so I was like that close. 84 years. I'm gonna call I'm gonna change my YouTube channel to 84 years just to remind myself. Oh my god. Let's see. Wolfpack writes, rewatch Kung Pao Enter the Fist. It's still funny, but only in parts. I haven't watched that movie in forever. I remember really enjoying it. It's like, I think it was like Steve Odenkirk or something like that directed it, and it started it. It wasn't like he masked himself into the movie itself. It was funny, but like I said, I haven't seen that movie in like 10 years, so I really enjoy it. Another movie that I watched in film school, I've seen before, but was a big hit in film school, was Black Dynamite. I don't know if you've seen that. They also had an animated series. It's a really funny movie with Michael J. White that I really enjoy. It's got some great stuff. Let's see. Yeah, Rob. I need to get off my lazy butt and start writing like more of these things, because I love doing movie reviews, but I love having an outlet to write my stuff. Whether it's good or not, I don't know. Who knows? But I try at least. Hey, what's up, sir? Best picture. I think it's the best movie of the decade, so I have to agree with you on that. Fury Road is just an experience. It's one of those movies that you can't get out of your brain. Every time you watch it, it's like, I don't get how George Miller did this. Was it 79, 80 years old? The guy's a genius. I could have talked for 3 hours about how George Miller went from Mad Max to Road Warrior, to Thunderdome, to Babe Pig in the City. He directed something else that wasn't a typical George Romero film, and I can't remember what it was, but George Mad Max Fury Road. That is such a crazy film. I'm so shady. Love you. Thank you. Let's see. Yeah, Black Dynamite. It's have you guys watched the animated series? It's an incredible thing. It is very not PC. I guess you could say. I love the movie. I love the movie is just ridiculous. They're like, you'll see like shots of boom mics in the shot, and it's like, it's definitely something straight out of like a Mario Van Peebles. I think it's Mario Van Peebles type of movie. Michael J. White is just a treasure when it comes. I wish they would actually make a sequel. They were supposed to make a sequel, but I wish they would make a sequel. My mama said Black Dynamite is my daddy. Hush, hush, little girl. A lot of cats. Oh god. But oh man, it's oh, archive. So sorry for my TV going off. Archive, if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. It's an interesting experience. I know people have on YouTube have like hundreds of thousands of views, but I just hit 8,000 views on my Archive Ending Explains video, which is keeps becoming a new record. I don't usually like gloating about that kind of stuff because people, they put out videos. That video is just me like now, like, sitting in front of my camera on my computer, talking to what I think about the Ending Explains. But the thing that surprised me most about that video, and it really shows in the Amulet Ending Explains I did, and I gotta give credit out to Jared Buckendahl, who does some really good Ending Explains as well. But is the level of like respect that I got for that video, like, not from like, hey, you're awesome, but the people actually giving me their thoughts and opinions. Because the only reason I do the Ending Explains, which I'm not like the biggest proponent on, is I want people to like kind of give me their ideas and opinions about those movies, what they think of them, do they enjoy them, what do they think about the ending itself. Like, I'm not gonna give Archive and Amulet away, but watch if you get a chance to. They are like pay streaming videos, so you have to pay like $7, but Amulet's a very weird movie. It has such a weird ending. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like, I was sitting here like doing my Ending Explains video that I did a couple days ago for it, and I'm doing my best to explain this movie's ending, and there are people that are smarter than me that understand it. And I was like, I was thinking about everything I saw in that movie, the visuals and the fidelity and um, the logic of the movie, and it's bonkers. There have been some bonkers movies, but that is one of them that just like it will stick with me. Just how insane it is. And Archive is another movie that has like a really great ending. It has a very, I want to say like Black Mirror style story structure ending type of thing. So I really enjoy it. I really enjoyed it, and it's been a really interesting thing to see that video do so well. There was I can't remember, was it you Wolfpack or somebody on that says that video is gonna get a lot of views, and I'm like, I don't really care about the views that much, but I'm like, I can't. I was like talking to like Trivia Theater or something like that. I'm like, people are watching me talk about Archive, the ending explains. I'm like, this is really strange. Okay, thank you for thank you for watching. I try to be as humble as I can, because when people come on and they talk about, you know, they love my reviews or they love my critiques or they love everything about it. Yeah, I really, I just I really feel, you know, privileged when I can do stuff like that and people really resonate with it. But did you like the original Old Boy? Yes, I did. I am not the biggest proponent of the squid scene or the octopus scene. The ending is one of the big what the F type things I've ever seen in my entire life. And yeah, Old Boy. I love Spike Lee. I like a lot of what Spike Lee does, but he should never remade that movie. That ending is something, one, that people will be ever afraid to make because of the subject matter of what it's dealing with. But Old Boy is a work of genius. That hall fight scene is. I know Daredevil did something very similar, but that hall fight scene is one of the greatest action scenes I've ever seen. I think it was like if you guys remind me, wasn't it like a one shot or something like that? They just went back and forth fighting it. It's like one of the most incredible action sequences I've ever seen. And I think he's like using a hammer or something like that. The only thing that tops it is like the Raid and the Raid 2. And when it comes to action, I think the Raid 2 literally is one of the greatest action movies ever made. It's an incredible piece of filmography. I think Gareth Evans, I think is his name, the director, Gareth Evans. It like that knife scene in the kitchen and just the freeway chase and the Raid 2. I don't know how they I don't like the level of detail, the level of shooting yourself, trying to mask how this film is gonna be shot. It takes a work of genius. I turned the hall fights into Mentos commercials. Don't know if it's still public or not. You gotta send me that, Rob, at some point. If you still have it, I have to watch that because that's amazing. Okay, it was a one take. Yeah, I think I remember Old Boy, that scene being a one take. But if you have that Mentos commercial, please send that to me because I think I remember watching it and I think I remember laughing. But that's pretty funny. But yeah, you know, the Raid 2, Mad Max. What was the film I was just thinking about that I forgot? Dread, which I love to death. I gotta do a review of Dread one of these days because that's a film that is highly underseen. That needs to be seen by everybody. Very violent. I think the Raid was was what it was like homaging or something like that. But yeah, you know, this is why I do Movie Emporium, is, you know, not doing the live stream but doing the be able to talk about these films. You know, I've gone back and watched so many films that I haven't seen in forever, you know, and it brings you a sense of joy. I have a VR headset and I've been kind of wondering if going in and watching these movies on VR, as bad as the quality can be with like the low grade quality that they are at this moment, if it would be like going to a theater, because as we all know, we can't go to the theater, which is really depressing and sad, and it makes me kind of angry that we are stuck in this situation. VHS is the best. Yeah, sure. I love VHS. Sure. No, I miss VHS. I worked at Blockbuster during the VHS era, so I really missed rewinding tapes. And I remember going to a store, and there was this store, this video store that I can't remember what it was called, but they used to have this like big, bulky case that it came in, and they would put foam inserts in it. And it would smell so good when you pulled the tape out. I swear to God, I'm not like a drug addict or something like that when I smell it. But like when you remember that smell, it brings you back to kids when you were a kid and stuff like that. Betamax is Betamax is the best. Um, it's kind of like RoboCop's little brother. Yeah. You can really feel the sense that I can't. I think Alex Garland wrote the script for that. They had a different director, but there's been rumors. I think I've talked about it where Dredd was actually possibly directed by Alex Garland, if I remember right. And it really does show, because Alex Garland is one of my favorite directors. If you haven't seen, oh god, what's that name of that movie or show? Devs. If you haven't seen Devs, please check out Devs. As an amazing TV show, it shows how good Alex Garland is. But yeah, like I said, going back to like when you're kids and that smell and just walking around the video store. I remember there was a story that I always tell about working on a Friday or Saturday night at a Blockbuster, and The Patriot and Perfect Storm had just come out on videotape like the same time. And I'm going around and putting videos back on the shelf, and I had someone stop me and go, I have a huge problem with you guys. I'm like, okay, what's that? A movie like The Patriot a movie like The Perfect Storm is this huge movie, and you guys only have so many copies, but you have The Patriot, which is a good movie, by the way. Patriot's actually better than The Perfect Storm, by the way. And you have all these copies of Patriot sitting over there. What is the deal? Why are you guys not meeting customer demands? I'm like, sir, we have like 100, 200 copies of The Perfect Storm. We have a couple hundred copies of Patriot. People want to see The Perfect Storm. I'm like, what do you tell these people? And where's it? I read Jacob Anders writes, I was a GM at a Blockbuster Video back in the day. You know what I'm talking about. People get upset over the most minute, stupid things about working at a video store. When, for instance, with a Blockbuster, you run out of something. It's funny. I went back 10 years later, Triv, and watch, or not, like 5 years later after watching Perfect Storm. I'm like, this does not hold up well. But oh my god, late fees. I'll get into that in a second. But when you go and you watch these movies, or when you work at the store, and people are getting upset at you about the stupidest thing like late fees. Return the movie. Yes, the late fees got out of hand. They got ridiculously overpriced. There are things that Blockbuster did try. I worked at GameStop as well. There are things they tried, but it wasn't successful, and Blockbuster went out of business outside the one store in like Oregon or something like that. But Blockbuster was another place that they let you rent free movies. They let you watch movies before they came out on video, and it was such an experience. And that just rolls right into Movie Emporium and the YouTube stuff, and it just it's such a great thing. If you have VR, get the game app. Yeah, I have big screen, but it's a weird thing. Do they charge you for that, or it's weird? Like they want your data. I'm not exactly sure. It looks cool, and it wants me to set up an avatar, but I'm just like, I was so kind of on the fence about what it was exactly. I was looking at it the other day, and if you have an idea of kind of what it is and how exactly I work it, because I can be a little stupid when it comes to that kind of stuff. Please tell me in the comments, because I'd be interested to know. But you still owe late fees. They're still racking up. It's like going to the library for not returning that book. Yeah, I had late fees too. I think I had late fees as an employee. I think they did write you up for that, but sometimes you just have to keep the movie for a little bit longer. But they would fire you if you kept the ones that hadn't come out yet. So I can't imagine actually how many people actually recorded those videos, the ones that they got to check out before the actual release date. And that's probably how a lot of them like ended up in like the Chinese market or online or stuff like that. Actually, you know what? Actually, back in the day, it would have been more like handed off to someone else, stuff like that. But Wolfpack, is it for the Oculus? Yes, it's the Quest. I have the Oculus Quest. So I'm not 100% sure how to get big screen on that. I really want to check it out because I want to check out some movies on there. I don't think the YouTube stuff on VR is very good, to be fairly honest with you. Pour one out for Blockbuster. Yeah, I'm not pouring out anything for Blockbuster. They built their own grave. I mean, no, I'm kidding. I actually did love working at Blockbuster. I met some good people at Blockbuster. I've also met some good people at GameStop that I'm still friends with. So, but excuse me. But yeah, it's those experiences working at Blockbuster, those experiences of going to screens with movies with my grandmother, things that I remember when it comes to, doing movie stuff. It's a pretty fun thing to deal with and to kind of remember. I think that's why a lot of us do channels is an escape, but for somebody like me, is to give people what I think, why I think it, what it reminds me of. That's why I go into such a long spiel before I even do the review of a movie, especially in Flashback series, because I want to give you kind of information about it, but I also want to give you how it kind of reminds me when I was a kid. Next week I'm doing a movie that I've watched as much times as I've watched, Ferris Bueller's Day Off or something like that, and I'll go into why I remember watching this, how it comes from with my dad getting me the movie and stuff like that. So yeah, it's strange how that works, but sometimes your passion comes out of your family. It really does. So excuse me. It's free and you can use display whatever is on your desktop on the theater screen. You have to create an avatar, but you don't have to make the room open to the public. You can leave it private. I'll look into it more when I get a better chance. It's been busy working where I work at right now. So, why does GameStop feel like a Blockbuster in a sense? Because it's selling a product. It has a corporation that doesn't really care about the product it's selling. Like Blockbuster, there was a lot of stuff they were trying to get you to sell, like DirecTV. They think they were doing like Netflix at one point. I mean, it's just a lot of crap they try to get you to sell, and GameStop does the exact same thing. And I don't like it. I never liked it. I went into Blockbuster or went into GameStop wanting to talk about the product. The only reason I liked working at Blockbuster is somebody would come up and ask me about a film or where a film was, or can they recommend something for Friday night for the family, and you'd be like, okay, let me think about it. Let me go through my mind of whatever was going out. And that's what the passion comes from. That's where the idea. But when I had to go and sell DirecTV, it's like, I don't want to sell people on a subscription service. It's just not how I roll. GameStop is notorious for that, selling used product and stuff like that. And it's a thing that they do. It makes you so disheartened and stuff like that. I never heard anything good about working at GameStop. The only thing that I can recommend about working at GameStop, or at least from my experience, is you do get to play the games early sometimes. And I met probably 4 or 5 really good friends from GameStop. I have like some friends that I'm like gigantic friends, not gigantic, but huge friends with, that I talk to every day. We joke around, and they're like really good people. They just, a couple of them are actually customers that I met working there. It's just, that's what happens. The same thing with Blockbuster, not as much with GameStop, but Blockbuster, yeah, it was, there's a couple of people I still talk to from Blockbuster, but GameStop is where I met a lot of good people. But when it comes to the store aspect and the selling aspect, it is not very good. So, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, I love Movie Stop too. I sold them a lot of movies. I think I sold them like $600 worth of movies one time, which was like 4,000 videos. I'm kidding. You know how cheap they are. They went out of business, which sucks. So, I mean, it is what it is. So, I use Vive. I have it on Steam. But I think, yeah, it is on most platforms, actually. Like I said, the Oculus Quest is one that I wanted because I wanted to be able to walk around with a wire. Without a wire, because you have to hook up the wire to it. But I found that some of the best games are the ones you have to hook up to your computer. And Lone Echo, Jacob, if you haven't played it, or Wolfpack, if you haven't played it, is an incredible artistry piece of art. Insanely amazing. Same thing with Vader Immortal. Same thing with Half-Life Alyx. If you haven't played these games, especially if you have VR, definitely check them out. Lone Echo especially. You will, if you're a little sensitive to motion sickness, it will affect you, but the fact that you can push off anything, you can touch anything, and it's incredible. So, but yeah, that's my VR talk. I can't wait for Squadrons, which is the new Star Wars game. Let's see, the old dirty VHS mom and pop places were the best back in the day. That wood paneling smell always takes me back. Yeah, I agree with you. Not necessarily wood paneling, but I agree with you. The smells and sights were something I always remember. Oh, you bought HD DVDs from Movie Stop. Yeah. That was a thing with the Xbox. I remember that. Good times, good times. I'm with you on going wireless. I have wireless adapter. Yeah, how is that on Vive? I'm really interested to know. So, I hope that's pretty cool stuff because it's a pretty cool experience playing the Oculus Quest, and like I was playing Trevor versus the Universe, Trevor Saves the Universe or something like that, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to play, but so it's 12:45, at least my time, depending on what time it is for you. So what I'm gonna do is I have a video or an intro sequence that I put together that is going to be my new intro sequence after on my next whatever movie review I do. It's not in the flashback review of Caddyshack. But it is going to be the new intro for going forward. So I figured I'd share it to you guys to see what you think. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Okay, apparently it repeats itself. So there you go. That is my new intro sequence. I was picking between two songs. One was more of like a detective music thing. This felt more right. Thank you, Triv, as well, for helping me out with that. I hope you enjoyed that. It's tanning beds. Video rental stores and tanning beds were a thing here for a long time. I don't know why. Oh, I was like, there were tanning beds, and I had to reread that. There were tanning beds and video rental stores. Yeah, that's interesting. That's I don't know if that's like a '90s thing where the like tanning beds were like real big or early 2000s, but that's pretty funny. I like that. The wireless adapter works good once you get it working. It's kind of a pain in the ass to get working for the first time, but once it works, it works. Yeah, that's good. Wireless is where they need to go because this room I have has a lot of stuff. It has all my equipment for when I record. It has a bunch of stuff everywhere. It's in my bedroom basically. So it's a hard place to like have wires. I mean, I have LED lights. I had to go to batteries because I couldn't handle all the wires on the floor, all the cables. So wireless is the way to go. It really is. So at 12:50, which is a couple minutes, I will probably go ahead and start up the best of my top 10. So did you guys have any other questions or that you wanted to say? I didn't want to make this like over an hour, but it has gone over an hour because I like to talk. You know, it is what it is. But they were everywhere with the correlation between movies and training as okay, that sounds awesome. But yeah, did you guys have any other questions? What did you guys think of the intro, all that good stuff? You know, one of the things I'm interested in knowing, like, what's your guys' favorite movie? What's the one movie you guys always go back to when you talk about your favorite movie of all time? Like I said, mine will show up, and it's an 18-minute video. I apologize, but I like to talk. So, yeah. What do you guys have anything to? Hey, yeah, thanks, Wolfpack, on that. Yeah, Lord of the Rings. Do you like the whole entire trilogy, or just a particular one movie, or? Sorry, I need some. I'm like, what's his name? The guy who always drinks the water. Like, throat starts losing it after a while. Yeah, all three. Yeah, yeah, that's what I've always been curious about when it comes to the Lord of the Rings. What people are like, do they have a specific favorite? Do they like all three of them? Yeah, I guess you could see because it's one huge giant movie. Yeah, it's definitely one big ass movie. I will give you that much. Hitchcock stuff. Any particular Hitchcock video, movie, anything good? Hey, what's up, Jason? Jason's part-time trench run employee. I'm still waiting for him to do his man on the street stuff. Yeah, consider them one big ass movie. Yeah, I agree. Pulp Fiction, you're never gonna let that one go, are you? Before I begin this video, my top 10 videos, Pulp Fiction is not one of my favorite movies. I just never been a huge fan of it. I'm not upset by saying that. So, but let's. I'll keep talking in the comments, but let's go ahead and roll this video. If you want to stay on, because I'll do the Caddyshack flashback review afterwards. Stay on. If you want to come back after this video, cool. But let's go ahead and play. It's the top 10 all-time videos from myself, Movie Emporium.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's top 10 films that I feel are the greatest of all time. Now, if you're watching this live stream, you are literally the only people that are going to be able to see this. Is to thank you for coming and joining my live stream and for celebrating my 2 years with, of course, Movie Emporium. The talk about the greatest of all time is a really hard thing to do, to be honest. It's a... When you look at it and when you boil it down, it's the movies that connect with you. It's the movies that you've watched a billion times, and it's movies that just have that emotional impact that you have never been able to get out of your mind. Now, that doesn't mean that these movies are the greatest. These aren't Citizen Kane. Some are Oscar winners, of course, but these are movies that I feel have given me the most out of cinema, the most out of film, the most out of movies. And it's a really kind of a passionate thing that I've enjoyed for years upon years. There is a movie on this list that truly made me love cinema. And it's kind of just like a list of what I feel are my favorite movies of all time. I mean, that's... it's my list, so I mean, that's how you're going to have to look at it. But with that said, I wanted to get into a top 10 list, and number 10 is going to be a movie that most of you may not have seen before. Some of you will, but some of you probably haven't. So number 10 is... So number 10 with Inner Space is a movie that's directed by Joe Dante, has Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan and of course Martin Short in it. And this movie is insane, but that's what Joe Dante was known for. He is a director known for doing quirky, weird, over-the-top, strange stuff. I mean, you're following a character that gets miniaturized as an experiment to go into a rabbit, but because of some really rich people, they decide they want the chip that is basically on this pod that Tuck Pendleton, which is Dennis Quaid, is controlling. And so there's an adventure where he gets injected the Jack Putter's character, which is the Martin Short character, and they have to work with one another. They have to get the help from Meg Ryan's character, and the villains are original. They're exciting. It's a movie just full of life and full of energy, full of heart, and it's just such a fun, energetic, and weird movie. But I've seen this movie so many times that I just had to put it on this list, and it's one of my favorites, and I can't not highly recommend it enough as I do. So Inner Space is at number 10, which will lead us into number 9, which is... The definition of epic is what Lawrence of Arabia is. David Lean is known for doing stuff like Dr. Zhivago, The Bridge on the River Kwai, and those are epic films in themselves. And this movie follows Peter O'Toole, who of course plays Lawrence, and he's a British general, and he goes over and ends up helping the people over in Arabia. And it's a movie that is pure cinema at its finest. It's a movie that just gets your heart racing, gets your pulse pounding. Once you see the transition of Lawrence to kind of the general of the Arabian army and what he's having to deal with and his psychology and his emotions, and to his eventual death. I mean, it's a true story, so his eventual death on the motorcycle. It's as epic and as insanely gorgeous as you can come to know, and it's just like a film that has so many great things. We have characters like Omar Sharif's character, who is just fantastic, and it's just, there's so many great set pieces, and this is what true filmmaking is at its finest, and it's one of my favorite films. Like I said, I saw it in the theater in 4K restoration, and it was just like, it was a mind-blowing experience, and this movie is just fantastic. So at number 9, I have Lawrence of Arabia, and let's go at number 8, which is... Now, my count list does differ from time to time, where I might shift a movie from here to there. Number 8 is Amadeus, and Amadeus is as impactful a movie as I have grown up with. This is one of my dad's favorite movies. I've just kind of grown to love it. It has Tom Hulce as Amadeus. It has one of the greatest performances I have ever seen with F. Murray Abraham, who was playing Salieri. And it's just a film that is as epic can be. It's a film that follows Mozart to his rise of popularity, to his eventual downfall of death, when, you know, Salieri basically, you know, gets killed by Amadeus gets killed by his passion. And it's just a movie full of great visuals, great chemistry, great like cinematography, great acting. Milos Forman is the one who directed this film, and it's just a very impassioned, very kind of Broadway style play that just does everything to a high level of quality, and it's why it's so great. So, I mean, it won Best Picture for a reason. So at number 8, I have Amadeus. And let's head into number 7, which is... Now, I told you I saw Interspace like a billion times. I've seen that movie a lot. But this movie, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, I can't tell you how many times. This movie is incredible. This movie is probably one of Robert Zemeckis' finest achievements, from mixing animation with live action. Bob Hoskins, Christopher Lloyd. Christopher Lloyd is one of the greatest villains of all time in this movie. And the fact that they got Disney and Warner Brothers to somehow cohesively work together by adding all these characters into this movie. There's a funny running joke where at the end of this movie, Porky Pig says, you know, that's all folks, and then we see Tinkerbell come up, and that's because of the whole thing with Disney being a Disney film. They wanted to end it with a Disney character. But this movie is so good. Bob Hoskins is so amazing in this movie. I miss Bob Hoskins a lot. He was such a fantastic actor. But just the level of detail, just like the difficulty in how they had to plan and stage this movie. There's nothing like it and will ever be like it. And Roger Rabbit is a fantastic character. The Goon Squad, you know, the Weasels and stuff like that. But nothing can beat Christopher Lloyd. Christopher Lloyd is just fantastic in this movie. And when you find out that he's the guy that killed Valiant's, you know, brother and so on and so forth, it's fantastic. He's a tune. It's so amazing. So at number 7, I have the amazing Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and that'll move into number 6, which is... Now, I've already done the review for this. If you haven't seen it yet, Ed Wood, which is directed by Tim Burton, has Johnny Depp. This movie is great filmmaking at its finest. This is about a character that directed some terrible, awful films. But the passion he showed behind his filmmaking is second to none. Ed Wood was such a strange person with his cross-dressing and with what he did, but the movie is just like... Bela Lugosi, which is the Martin Landau character, is one of the great performances that actually won an Oscar for a Tim Burton film. And just the level of detail of the 1950s, you know, LA, the black and white that this film portrays in entirety, and just all the characters that portray in this movie as, you know, what you've seen, you know, throughout history. This movie just... It works on all cylinders. It's just so exciting to watch, and that's why I really enjoy Ed Wood and think it's one of Tim Burton's greatest films, as well as one of the greatest films of all time, because of how much heart Tim Burton put into this movie, how much level of respect he gave Bela Lugosi and Ed Wood himself. So therefore, it's that high on my list. But yeah, Ed Wood, such an incredible film. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. So we're at the halfway point of this list, and number 5 is... Now, I must confess, there's a couple of films on this list that I have connections to, thanks to a certain person in my family, my grandmother. This is one of them, Rain Man. Rain Man has 2 amazingly insane performances from Dustin Hoffman and, of course, you know, Tom Cruise. This is a movie about brothers who have never seen each other, never been around each other, that connect because Tom Cruise, who's a very angry individual who basically steals the Dustin Hoffman Raymond character and takes him across the country. And the connection that these two find as you go forward throughout this movie is something revolutionary and something so poetic. And to see Tom Cruise's kind of shift from the angry, young, yuppie character to the character that just wanted to know why his father did what he did is a transformation. It's one of Tom Cruise's best roles, and it's definitely one of Dustin Hoffman's best roles. And it just has so much heart and so much beautiful chemistry. And when they get in Vegas, there's so much cool stuff in there, and just the movie just works, and everything about it is just beautiful. So Rain Man is just such a poetic film, and I really enjoy it. So at number 5 is Rain Man, and we'll head to number 4, which is no other film, I feel, at least on this list, or probably any list, epitomizes what we are like in today's society. The Matrix is one of those films, which didn't make my top 10. It would have made like my top 20. The Truman Show is Jim Carrey's greatest film of all time. It's one of Peter Weir's best films. It's one of Ed Harris's best films. It's one of Laura Linney's best films. And it's just one of the greatest films of all time because it takes an individual and is basically a character that is put into a reality show, but he doesn't know he's on a reality show. So it's like life to him is so twisted and distorted that whenever he's trying to get to places like Fiji, he can't get there. And there is something strangely prophetic and awe-inspiring about this film. Everything about it, from the characters and how they treat Truman, to watching the people outside of this world, watching him on TV, to the eventual revelation of who he is and why he is. Ed Harris is giving one of the great performances of his career as Christoph, and just watching him trying to control everything and watching everything spiral out of control. It's like when you go to a concert or a Broadway musical and everything just fires on all cylinders. That is exactly what's happened here. And the fact that Jim Carrey didn't get an Oscar nomination for this movie is such a travesty. I don't understand it. But Truman Show, if you have not seen this movie, it is so in and out of today with everything that's going on. And when you get to that ending and you just feel so much, your heart just like explodes from how happy you are for Truman. It's incredible. It really is. So at number 4, I have The Truman Show, which is going to lead into my top 3, which have never changed and probably will never change. So number 3 is... So there is a good chance that this movie is on every single person's list. The Shawshank Redemption is a perfect film. It really is. If it weren't for these other 2 films, it would be number 1 because it is a film of so many great, memorable moments. Andy Dufresne, Tim Robbins, Reds, Morgan Freeman are just on a whole strangely different level than anything I've ever seen. Morgan Freeman should have won the Oscar, to be fairly honest. I can't even remember who won the Oscar that year, but his character is just so memorable. Frank Darabont, which is his first film. I think he directed something else for Stephen King, but taking this property, which is a short story, and turning it into a 2.5-hour movie with such memorable characters like Bob Gunton and Clancy Brown, and it's just the life in prison and how horrifying it is, but how you can make friendships and how you can get out of the world that is keeping you down, and just the aesthetic and the look and the feel. Once again, I do have a connection to this film, which is through my grandmother, which, she helped get this film into Ohio. It's just something about Shawshank Redemption that makes it just such a special film. And I don't know if it's the scenery, the characters, or if it's everything, but it's such an incredible piece of work that it transcends time, transcends, movie making. And Shawshank Redemption doesn't really need more explanation than I gave in my review. But yeah, it's an incredible piece of work. So there you go. Number 3, Shawshank Redemption. And number 2 is... Number 2 is, of course, Saving Private Ryan. This is the movie that I talked about at the beginning that made me love cinema. It really did. This movie is astounding, especially in its first like 20, 30 minutes. It's a movie about brotherhood. It's a movie about relationships and friendships. It's a movie about people that you come to love and respect. It's a movie about rescue. It's a movie about the things we do that basically will affect our lives. And it's a movie that is so personal to Steven Spielberg because, you know, he had Jewish family members, Jewish parents. And I'm going to talk about another Spielberg film that you know what's going to happen with that one. This kind of signified, it really didn't signify, but it kind of showed you how truly special a filmmaker like Steven Spielberg really is. And it had an amazing cast. I mean, we had Tom Hanks, we had Matt Damon, we had Adam Goldberg, we had Tom Sizemore, Edward Burns, we had, you know, Vin Diesel, Giovanni Ribisi. It was a cast of amazing individuals, and this movie is visceral, is violent, and it's heartbreaking in a lot of places. And nobody is safe in this movie. People die, and, you know, unfortunately they die in realistic situations, and yeah, Saving Private Ryan is a rough film, but it's a film that you can sit down and truly be awe-inspired about how good it is. But it doesn't come close to number one, and it's hard to say, but there is one other film that I consider the greatest film of all time, which is number one, which is So I sat down in a Dolby Atmos theater to watch this movie, Schindler's List. And I hadn't seen it for probably 10 years. It's been a long time. It's a hard movie to watch. And the first time I saw this movie, I was heartbroken. I was sad. I was depressed. I cried. It's a movie that is so emotionally impactful that I consider it the greatest movie of all time. It's not a movie I'm gonna watch more than a few times, but it's a movie that has stuck with me ever since I first watched it. When I got out of that theater, in the Dolby theater that I saw it in, and I watched how personal this film truly is, when you see what Schindler did for people, how he respected the people at the end, how he saved so many lives. It's a movie that it breaks your heart. It really does. And Steven Spielberg is an incredible director. I mean, he's lost his way a little bit recently, but if you can ever remember a time that a movie affected you to the point of like still thinking about it to this day, I mean, it makes you respect what filmmaking can truly be and what it truly can do. I mean, you can look at stuff like Psycho, you can look at stuff like Citizen Kane and Star Wars, but I think when it comes to greatest films of all time, my personal favorite films of all time, there's nothing that can beat this film. There's nothing will ever beat this film, and it's a film that truly transcends we'll ever know, we'll ever love. It's Schindler's List. I mean, it's incredible. It really is. I don't know how many people can handle the movie. I really don't. But if you have the stomach to watch this film for the performances, for the visuals, for the arresting look at Holocaust and World War II, this is some of the finest work from somebody like Ray Fiennes or Liam Neeson or anybody that you can imagine being in this film. Yeah. So there you go. That's such a downer to come down on, but it is what it is. But there you go. That is my top 10 films of all time. What can I say? It's an interesting list. I'll definitely say that. So, but anyways, thank you so much for watching this top 10, and let's go back to the live stream.
All right, so there is my top 10 of all time. Thank you everyone who was talking to me in the chat. This list has changed several times throughout the years. When I did the first podcast with Movie Emporium with Rob, it was completely different. But as time has kind of passed and moved on, this is the list of movies as of this moment, which it could change when I get older, that have truly defined the genre itself, that have, to me personally, kind of cemented why filming is so good. When I have kids, I'll force them to I would not be surprised by that. Why making your kids watch Indiana Jones 4? That should be like required viewing in school. These are the films you should not make. So, but these 10 movies, there are a few movies like Schindler's List, Shawshank Redemption, Saving Private Ryan, Amadeus, and Rain Man, which have been on my list since the very beginning. But stuff like The Truman Show, stuff like Lawrence of Arabia, stuff like what I have number 10, Inner Space. These are films that have some reason they have kind of snuck up on me and just kind of grasped me as a filmmaker, or not a filmmaker, but as a film fan, film student, whatever you want to call it. And I love every single one of these films to death. I think they're important films. Inner Space, you could like put things in and out of that number 10 spot, because number 10 is just kind of a movie that you really enjoy. I could put like Real Genius in there or something like that, but number 10 as of right now is Inner Space, because Inner Space is such an amazing, like, imaginative film by Joe Dante. But yeah, those films right there represent my taste in movies. Some are heartbreaking, some are sad, some are amazing, some are poetic and ingenious and fun and exciting, as well as, some films being about true history. The top two films are Spielberg films. One has, of course, Tom Hanks in it. And they're films that have transpired me. Like I said, Schindler's List, I cry every time I watch that movie because it's so heartbreaking. Saving Private Ryan basically changed my life when it came to films, because I've always been a fan of films and movies, but nothing has kind of made me want to talk about a film like Saving Private Ryan did when it first came out, because I saw that movie when it came out. It came out in 98, so I was, not even 20 yet. I was like, 18, 17, somewhere around there, 16 or whatever it was. So you can imagine a movie being that important in its lexicon of film. So, but it's been over an hour now since I've been talking. So I want to go ahead and end with my film flashback review of Caddyshack. Caddyshack, as we know, is an amazing film. If you watched it, if you enjoy it, if you don't enjoy it, that's fine, but I hope you enjoy it. I will post up on my channel the actual review for it, so you don't have to stand by, but I will let it run throughout this video before ending the stream. But anybody who has shown up on this live stream, I want to thank you so much for coming and enjoying what I have presented, what I've been talking about. You guys are why I do this. Even if you're a YouTuber, you guys keep pushing me forward. I enjoy all your content. I enjoy what you guys do. If I don't necessarily comment all the time, I apologize. There's just sometimes you get busy, so I understand. If you come on and you don't see me a lot of times on your channels and stuff like that, I do watch your videos, but sometimes I just don't have a chance to comment. But anybody who does watch this live stream, because I decided at the beginning I was just going to make this like a one and done, but I do want people to watch this because I want people to kind of experience the 2-year anniversary. But I want to thank everyone who came on to watch the video, to watch this live stream. I want to thank anyone who's ever watched in the last 2 years. And I want to thank everyone who has pushed me forward and kept me motivated to do this channel, because as we know, we can get lazy and can get a little bored, I guess you could say. So anyways, thank you so much for joining me on this rendition, or this journey of 2 years of Movie Emporium, and I look forward to bringing more content in year 3. So thank you so much, guys, and see you guys on the next video. Peace out.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's Flashback Reviews, where I take movies from the past, break them down, and tell you what I think about them. If you like my channel, hit that subscribe button. It's Movie Emporium. It's a good channel. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and comment below on any video that you watch, including this one. So, before we begin on this actual review, I want to thank everybody who's been watching for the last 2 years. I started this channel back in 2018, July 27th, actually when this video posts. Just want to thank you guys for watching. It really means a lot. There's been a lot of ups, a lot of downs. I never thought I would make it 2 years, so having a lot of good friends on YouTube, having a lot of good people that I've talked to on YouTube, just thank you so much. And we're going to talk about a movie that I not only really enjoy, but I think is one of the funniest comedies of all time. So Caddyshack came out July 25th, 1980, 40 years ago, as of a couple days ago when this video posts. It was a movie that made $40 million in 1980, so it was a huge success. Actually ignited the career of Rodney Dangerfield, and included a whole slew of people that are either famous well liked, disliked, or just like in a different atmosphere and stratosphere in the comedy genre. And it was a movie that was directed by Harold Ramis. This is his first film directing, and it's a movie about caddies. It's a movie about living on the golf course. It's a movie about just the nature of the insanity that is the world of caddies and golf and whatnot. And it's just a movie that just like hinges on its no plot. It just hinges on its characters. And it hinges on the absurdity of what these few days that this movie takes place in deal with. And it's just an incredible, funny film. And it's actually written by Brian Doyle Murray, who actually plays the manager of the caddies in this movie. And it's basically almost like a past view of what he went through as a caddy. Some of these things actually happened to him. Some of these people that we see in the movie, like the old couple, he actually dealt with in the movie. And it's also interesting to see in this movie with some of the characters and some of the actors who were also caddies, like Harold Ramis and so on and so forth. So the movie works on that level alone of having past experience. When you have past experience with the thing you're actually putting up on the screen, it tends to work. It tends to be an interesting film. And I don't know, there's just something so strangely odd about this movie. It's so strangely like energetic about the movie. It has so many great moments. It has so many great themes and logics and non-logics. There's a gopher in this movie that Bill Murray's trying to tackle. There's a guy who comes into the country club all the time named Judge Smalls, and he's played by Ted Knight. And he's a very hoity-toity, up his own ass type of character. You have Rodney Dangerfield. This movie goes on and on and on. And I'll get into the characters one by one. But the movie is considered one of the great comedies of all time for a reason, and just based off the acting alone. But because of the absurd nature, when you look at stuff like what John Landis was doing, or Ivan Reitman, or any of these comedic directors and writers at the time, this movie is kind of with Animal House, kind of the linchpin or the early rumblings of those types of films, of the getting a bunch of well-known cast members at the time and even now, and putting them into whatever scenarios they can do. A lot of this movie is improvised. There was a lot of drug use in this movie, and it really, really shows. I mean, there are moments in this movie where you swear they were on acid when they were filming it, because it's so insanely ridiculous. It's so insanely crazy, but it just works. It really does. And we'll start out with Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney Dangerfield is one of the greatest comedians of all time at this point. He is a guy who, came up through the Johnny Carson circuit. He was a guy that just had so much charisma. He was outlandish. He was goofy. He just was an oafish type character, but he has such a weird, crazy aura about him that he just fits in this movie perfectly. He plays a building magnate, the guy who owns a bunch of construction, owns a bunch of housing developments, so he's very, very rich, but he's outlandish. He's insane. There's a great story about how Harold Ramis was trying to get him to kind of work in the system of action. When you say action, when a movie starts, and because Rodney Dangerfield is known for doing the comedy circuit, he's known for doing his thing. When Harold Ramis would say action, Rodney Dangerfield wouldn't do anything. He would just sit there. He would just stare into space, and Harold Ramis would go, you go when I say action, and Rodney Dangerfield's like, okay. And Rodney Dangerfield, once again, wouldn't do anything. It's similar to like Homer Simpson and the one where he is being talked to by the FBI, and they're like, say something, and he's like, okay, but he doesn't actually do the thing he says he's going to do.
Be Homer Thompson at Terror Lake. Let's just practice a bit, When I say, hello, Mr. Thompson, you'll say, hi.
Check.
Hello, Mr. Thompson. Remember now, your name is Homer Thompson.
I got you.
Hello, Mr. Thompson.
But what Harold Ramis did, he's like, okay, Rodney Dangerfield, do your bit. And that's why there are so many strange but kind of awe-inspiring moments with Rodney Dangerfield, because you let the guy loose and do what he needs to do. There's so much improvisation with Rodney Dangerfield's character in this movie. It's actually quite incredible. The bowl of soup thing with the hat, the use of the Asian characters who are named Wang, the golf clubs, the car running through the grass. It's just like every single time he's on the screen, he is on point. He's doing his A-level material, and he just never seems to tire. You know, at the very end of this movie and throughout this movie, he's dancing and he's getting on Judge Small's nerves, and he's just like, there's so much good stuff. There's the stuff on the boat when he can't control the boat and it's like crashing into the stuff, and like I said, when he's driving on the golf course, you know, him as Al Selznick is just an amazing character. I think I have his pop figure up here because I love that character so much. But he is just, Rodney Dangerfield is just, he's magnetic and amazing and eccentric and exciting to watch in this movie. He's one of the standout characters, and like I said, this was his breakout role. This is what he was known for later on, for doing stuff like Back to School and Ladybugs or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, you know, rest in peace, Rodney Dangerfield, but it's a movie that was just hinging on his character doing what he did. So another breakout character is Bill Murray as Carl Sackler, and Carl Sackler is the groundskeeper of this property, of this Brentwood, I think it's Bushwood or Brentwood or whatever it is called. And this is a character like Meatballs where you really don't have any idea what he is doing. There's so much weirdness to his character, the way he's talking. There's points where he's like, you know, like using a club to like destroy flowers. And then he does everything unimaginable to like catch this gopher, which is what I guess the head of the Greens or something like that. Or I don't know who it is, but it's a Scottish man. He's very stereotypical Scotsman. And just to watch Bill Murray do his thing in this movie, to be so strange, so weird, and then he finally just decides to like blow up the gopher with the, you know, with the explosives. There's points where he is just like staring people down. There's a point where he helps an older golfer as a storm's coming through, and the golfer is electrocuted and dies, and Bill Murray's character, just kind of wanders off and disappears. There's a lot of time in this movie where you're just not really sure what he's doing, like what is going through Bill Murray's head. And it's very interesting to watch him do his like voice, his mannerisms, you know, how he talks to everybody in the movie. It's a weird character, but it's like such a lovable oaf of a character. So it's really enjoyable what Bill Murray's doing here, but it's just such a strange character. But it has so many good lines. And like they said, the last sequence when he just like uses the dynamite and explosive to blow up the golf course is incredible to watch. So it's a pretty interesting bravado performance from Bill Murray, and it's one of the best. So, and then we have Chevy Chase. Oh, the lovely Chevy Chase that no one truly likes in Hollywood. If you've ever watched that Friars Roast or New York club where they roasted him, it's pretty infamous about how much they really hate Chevy Chase.
We want you to stop making movies, television, anything. Please stop. You're out of control. You're in denial. No one wants you to work anymore but you. It's selfish. You're hurting yourself, the people around you, and you're disappointing people who rent videos everywhere.
But in this movie, he plays Ty, and he is almost like a fatherly figure to Danny, who's played by Michael Keefe, and Danny Nunes is like almost like a surrogate to this world of Caddyshack. And he's a hippie. He's always smoking dope or on drugs. He's really attracted to the hot, attractive woman that's in this movie. And he is a character that is always giving like the Buddha style life lessons. He's, you know, teaching Danny the ropes and how to, you know, because Danny wants to be a lawyer, and eventually he's trying to get into caddy school. And I think Chevy Chase is doing some wonderful work in this movie. I think he's exciting to watch. He's funny. He is doing some very strange, interesting, weird stuff with, you know, wearing no shoes on the golf course or doing stuff like that. And he does a lot of improvisation in this movie as well. And I just can't imagine when Brian Doyle Murray was writing the script that he would basically get some of the most infamous lines of dialogue in any movie imaginable. But Ty's a very interesting character. He's a fun character, but he's just a goofy, weird, strange character of a person. So, I mean, it is Chevy Chase, and apparently Chevy Chase and Bill Murray hated each other. But somehow Harold Ramis was able to get them to at least do one scene together, which is in the shack when Ty hits the ball in there, and they have their conversation. But you can you can almost feel the tension in that scene and the way they're playing out. It almost feels like Bill Murray wants to kill Chevy Chase, because Chevy Chase is always known for being a jerk. So I can imagine that was not a fun scene to play. But yeah, Chevy Chase, interesting character, fun character. Not the most important, but he is the character that's like the surrogate to Danny. So. And so we have also one of my favorite character actors in this movie, as well as one of my favorite characters in comedy in general. And that's, of course, Ted Knight as Judge Smalls. And Judge Smalls, like I said, he's the guy that with his wife is very rich, very of that type, very not very nice guy. He's one of the guys that would tip you $2 on like $150 to $300 meal. He comes off very snobbish, very rude, very just angry. And when you bring in Rodney Dangerfield and you see the amount of play and abuse, and Ted Knight apparently was a really nice guy, so to see him get like truly upset by what they were doing in real life, it really shows on screen. You can just feel like the blood pressure rising every time that he's around any of these characters. But he's like deliciously evil. He's deliciously angry. He gives out that aura that just reeks of just like, I'm better than you type of scenario. And his wife is the same way. She's like that typical prim and proper woman who just can't handle the shenanigans that these caddies go through and the people on the course, and they think they run this course, so because they think they have a lot of influence, and their kids are very rude and uptight, and their son is just a kind of complete jerk and just real nasty. And I don't know. I really like what Ted Knight is doing in this movie. I think it's just fantastic, and I love his character. I love everything about it, and just to see him trying to react to everything when Danny and Lacey, who was played by Cindy Morgan, watch them when he walks in when they just had sex. It's pretty funny. It's a little goofy and whatnot, but he's a fun character. So I have a lot of respect for that character. I just enjoy how evil and ridiculous it is. So now I do have to give some shout outs to Michael Keefe and Sarah Holcomb. They of course played Danny and Maggie. They're a couple in this movie. Maggie is apparently an exchange student from Ireland. Danny, of course, is the main there's not really a main character in this movie, but if he was a main character, he would be it. And Maggie is just there as like emotional support. She almost gets underused for the fact that Danny's always chasing after Lacey, and if she feels like such a character that's being used. Why she keeps staying with Danny after what he does to her with cheating on her. We find out that she might have a kid. I don't know. It's such a weirdly written like romantic relationship. But I guess you can see, you're 18 years old, 19 or however old Danny is in this movie. Who knows how old Maggie is. But they have a good chemistry together. Maggie of course has a Scottish or Irish accent. She was in Animal House, so she is an American. So it's a very stereotypical Scottish Irish accent or whatever you want to call it. But they're fun, they're entertaining, and they enjoy when they're on screen. But they're not like the most important characters in the movie, but they are like the main characters. So if that makes any sense. But there are other caddies, there are other like smaller characters in this movie. There's one caddy who thinks he's like the big tough guy, and there's a bunch of kids, and that's what this movie is very much in a nutshell of being, of a kind of photo shot of time of what it was like to live in the late 70s, early 80s. Just the mannerisms of the kids, the way they dress, how everything was reacting to one another, the fact that all these kids were high and drunk and everything was really cheap. They buy a Coke for like 25 cents and stuff like that. I think what Brian Doyle Murray and Harold Ramis were doing with this movie is just, it's a wonder of art. It's a work of art. It's a movie that just has no plot, but you just cannot not enjoy it. The fact that this movie was like almost critically panned by a lot of critics, and the fact that it gained a cult status is actually kind of surprised me, because I always figured this was a movie that everybody loved, that everybody really enjoyed. But I think with its tone away, it kind of just like goes from place to place to place. It doesn't really set on one thing. It just keeps going and going. It has like no real structure to it. when it comes to comedies, stuff like that, it really does feel like Animal House, because Animal House is the same way. It doesn't really, it just kind of goes where it feels like going. Cameraman's like, I'm gonna go over there and shoot some stuff on the 18, and Harold Ramis is like, okay, let's go over there to 18. We're all on coke and weed anyway, so why don't we go film that? Why don't we go see what Rodney Dangerfield is doing? It feels like that they were just like on the golf course and do whatever they want, and the cameramen were just kind of, you know, going back and forth. It's that type of movie, and it's a movie that just it wears its heart on its shoulder. It wears its energy on its shoulder. It wears its comedy on its shoulder. You know, watching these actors who are comedic marvels and comedic geniuses and some of the biggest heavyweights in comedy even to this day. It's a work of pure amazement that this movie even works like it does. And there's some amazing scenes. The Baby Ruth and the pool sequence is really funny. Watching that guy get electrocuted and watching Bill Murray run away, the very end with, like I said, the golfer and stuff like that. I haven't talked about the gopher. Gopher's incredible because John Dykstra was one of the workers was one of the creators of that gopher, and it's like ear twitches and his eye moves and just the way like puppeteering and stuff like that. It's just like a very realistic looking character that really does work. So this movie's incredible. It's a work of pure genius, to be honest. And then you have Kenny Loggins doing that really famous Caddyshack song that he does that plays throughout the entire movie, the beginning and near the end. Kenny Loggins through the 80s was known as the guy you went to create memorable songs, look like Top Gun and stuff like that. So his song here in Caddyshack is one of the greatest songs created for a movie. It's catchy, it's memorable, it's fun, it's exciting, and it's Kenny Loggins. You know what you're getting. So, but yeah, that's it. That's my take on Caddyshack. Happy 40th anniversary. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Caddyshack. Who is your favorite character if you really enjoy this movie? Like I said, I had to go Rodney Dangerfield as Al Sersnick, but everybody has their favorite character. So, but as always, thank you so much, guys, for joining me and continue to join me for these last 2 years and going into year 3. It does really mean a lot, so I do appreciate it. But yeah, if you like this channel, hit that subscribe button. It is Movie Emporium. Also, if you like this video, cool, hit that like button. If you dislike it, you know what? It is what it is. But otherwise, hit the notification bell at the top. I know what's coming next. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in year 3 of Movie Emporium. Peace out, guys.